He was more feared than Machine Gun Kelly, more infamous than Bonnie and Clyde, and more adored than any outlaw in American history. He wasn't just a criminal, he was a symbol. To some, he was a modern-day Robin Hood. To others, a cold-blooded killer. The FBI called him public enemy number one. But the truth? It's far more complicated. This is the haunting, explosive rise and fall of John Dillinger. The man, the myth, the American legend. Stick around until the end to learn the one move that doomed Dillinger forever. If you're fascinated by criminal masterminds, legendary manhunts, and the blur between justice and vengeance, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Born in Indianapolis on June 22, 1903, John Herbert Dillinger lost his mother just before turning 4. Raised first by his sister and later by a strict, often violent father, Dillinger's early life was marked by trauma and rebellion. Though once a promising student and baseball lover, teenage John turned to theft and violence. By age 16, he dropped out of school and set out to escape his father's shadow. At the height of World War I, jobs were plentiful. Dillinger found work quickly, bouncing between a board of trade and a machine shop. But in 1921, his father uprooted the family to Morseville, Indiana. By 1922, Dillinger was arrested for auto theft. In 1923, he joined the Navy, only to desert days later. A pattern of independence, defiance, and escape had begun. In September 1924, Dillinger and ex-con Ed Singleton mugged a grocery store owner for $50. The next day, they were arrested. Dillinger received a 12-year sentence. At just 21, his prison career began. Repeated escape attempts and a divorce while behind bars hardened him. But prison didn't break Dillinger, it trained him. At Pendleton and Indiana State Prison, Dillinger met future gang members Homer Van Meter, Russell Clark, and Harry Pierpont. These weren't petty criminals, they were skilled bank robbers. Together, they dreamed of a post-prison criminal empire. And from one man, Herman Lamb, Dillinger learned the most crucial tool of all, the Lamb technique, a disciplined, methodical strategy for robbing banks. In May 1933, Dillinger was paroled into a world deep in the Great Depression. He returned to Morseville with a new skill set, a network of violent allies, and a nation that was both vulnerable and fascinated by outlaws. Americans hated the banks, and Dillinger would become their fantasy, whether he wanted to or not. Dillinger quickly put the Lamb technique to use: disguises, roleplay, surveillance. One bank after another fell. He became known as Jackrabbit for the way he leapt over counters during heists. In just months, he stole roughly $50,000, almost $900,000 today. But he hadn't forgotten his friends in prison. With stolen funds, Dillinger sent weapons into Indiana State Prison, hidden in marked boxes. In September 1933, while Dillinger was visiting a lover in Ohio, his crew used those weapons to escape. Meanwhile, Dillinger himself was arrested and jailed in Lima, Ohio. 2 weeks later, his gang broke him out, posing as state officers and killing Sheriff Saba in the process. Now reunited, the group became known as the Dillinger Gang. Their robberies escalated in both scale and violence. But despite his ties to the brutal babyface Nelson, Dillinger himself rarely used deadly force. Newspapers spun him into a working-class hero. Americans, beaten down by poverty, began to idolize the man robbing the banks they blamed for their misery. In January 1934, Dillinger and Red Hamilton robbed a bank in East Chicago. Police intervened. In the chaos, Dillinger allegedly gunned down Officer O'Malley. For some, this act shattered his Robin Hood image. For others, it was wartime. Dillinger just happened to be on the wrong side. He was arrested soon after in Arizona and extradited to Indiana. Held in the escape-proof Lake County Jail, Dillinger waited to stand trial for O'Malley's death. But on March 3, 1934, he made headlines again. He escaped, using a fake wooden gun. No shots fired. No one killed. But the embarrassment was monumental. The man America couldn't stop was now its most wanted fugitive. J. Edgar Hoover, desperate to legitimize the Bureau of Investigation, declared war. He named Dillinger public enemy number one. Agent Melvin Purvis was tasked with bringing him down. Every state border, every newspaper, every diner whispered the name, Dillinger. After the escape, Dillinger reunited with Evelyn Billy Frechette. They posed as Mr. and Mrs. Hellman in St. Paul. When the building manager got suspicious, the FBI raided the apartment. Dillinger escaped, shot in the shoulder, but alive. FBI agents soon tracked down Eddie Green, a gang member, who was killed during arrest. Frechette was later captured, but Dillinger slipped away again. His identity now too recognizable, Dillinger underwent plastic surgery to change his face, and burned off his fingerprints with acid. But the man behind the name couldn't disappear. Hiding in Wisconsin, Dillinger's gang was nearly caught when a vacation lodge owner tipped off authorities. But the FBI botched the raid, shooting an innocent man and wounding 2 others. In the chaos, Dillinger vanished again. The FBI had failed, publicly and fatally. By June 1934, Dillinger was declared public enemy number 1. The federal government placed a $10,000 bounty on his head. Still, he returned to rob one more bank, this time in South Bend. During the heist, a police officer was killed. Dillinger and his crew made off with $30,000. But the noose was tightening. Dillinger laid low with new girlfriend Rita Polly Hamilton in Chicago. There, they befriended Romanian immigrant Anna Sage, who secretly contacted the FBI. Facing deportation, Sage made a deal. She'd help them catch Dillinger in exchange for staying in the US. On July 22, 1934, Sage tipped off the FBI that Dillinger planned to see a film at the Biograph Theater. That night, agents surrounded the area. Sage wore a red dress as promised. As Dillinger exited, he sensed the trap. He tried to flee, pulling his pistol and turning into a side alley. But it was blocked. Agents opened fire. 3 bullets struck John Dillinger. 1 severed his spinal cord. He collapsed and died instantly. The crowd swarmed, dipping newspapers and handkerchiefs in his blood for souvenirs. In death, as in life, he was more myth than man. Some believed the man shot wasn't Dillinger. Rumors swirled that he escaped, that the FBI had killed the wrong man. But the evidence was clear. His fingerprints matched, even burned. His family identified him. The myth lives, but the man had died. Dillinger was buried on July 25, 1934. He was 31. The Bureau had its victory. Hoover had his power. But questions linger. Was Dillinger a symbol of defiance, or destruction? A hero, or a warning? The truth, like all legends, lies somewhere in between. What do you think? Was John Dillinger a hero of the people or a criminal who got what he deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you were hooked by the legend. Subscribe to the channel for more unbelievable true crime stories, and hit the bell so you never miss the truth behind the myths. And don't forget to subscribe for more faceless true crime stories that prove truth is always stranger than fiction.